Right, good afternoon guys. Going to another GTOWizard session. The situation this time is another pretty common one. Cut off versus big blind, single raise pot. I'm the big blind and it goes check, small bet from cut off, and that's where we jump in. So pretty common scenario, and we're also going to focus on paired boards because a lot of people aren't aware how often these boards are check raised. So we're going to focus on paired boards as well. So let's get into it. So I wouldn't be shocked if check raise happens sometimes here, but I'm going to just go for a call. And call turn. Okay, does it check raise at all? Yeah. So it check raises like 60-40-ish. Probably something I'm not doing enough. But if we look at this board, like the amount of check raising we do in general. 1 second, I was on the wrong screen. Yeah. If we go, so this is on the flop. Yeah, so it's like 20%. 23% nearly. So it's over half of the calling. So most people aren't check raising enough. Even hands like 9-6 are check raising, which I find kind of crazy. But yeah, like when you see a paired board as big blind, you face a small bet, you are gonna, in theory, check raise a lot. So just keep that in mind. It's something I did not realize for a while. So let's get back to this. King 10, I guess we defend flop. It might be kind of close. And then with king high, just going to check. And I think just fold. Yeah, flop is a fold, okay. Yeah, flop's a fold. And then river is, yeah, fold. Okay, so just fold flop. Noted. This is close as well. I think we just fold. Yeah. So this is interesting as well, just knowing like the threshold, like whether to like call or fold. So we've just seen this board, a very similar board. We can check raise this. I'm just gonna call again though. Pretty solid turn. Just gonna call again. If they have like 7-8 and they're bluffing, you just want to keep that in. Yeah, queen 7. But yeah, again, like this one check raises even more. I guess just because the board's a little more dynamic. It was 9-4-4 before. This is 9-6-6. Okay, so we do raise a bit more. And yeah, the rest of it seems pretty normal. So in general with these smaller flushes, I like to call more often than raise. I think because if we raise and get called and the flush comes on the turn, let's say, like we are risk of being flush over flushed like reasonably often. So general rule, I tend to call my lower flushes more often, but we'll see what the solver likes. And then we'll just fault over bet. And yeah, mainly calling with this lower flush. We'll actually see. We'll see what they think. So on the flop, there's big blind. So yeah, this lower flush just mainly calls. It seems like the lower flush is mainly call. And then let's say a queen high flush, a bit more raising. Which makes sense. This board actually not raised as much. I think it's because it's pretty good for cutoff. In terms of like, obviously King X, and then like decent amount of 9X as well. But yeah, still 13%, you know, it's a decent amount to check raise. Let's go to the next hand. He's going to call the 8s. It's funny, I'm talking about all this check raising. I'm not actually check raised yet, I don't think. And the ace river's not ideal. But we just pretty standard hand, I think. Again, just gonna call this time. I'll use this randomizer. If I randomize like a raise, I'll do it. But in general, with these small flushes, if you want to keep it simple, you can just like, for example, just call the small flushes, check raise some of the big ones. Now with 6 high, although in theory you don't want to bluff spades too much, we have 6 high, so I think this is just going to be a bluff. And probably half, because I think they're just going to be inelastic with ace-x anyway. And, okay, so we had the best hand, but they may, if we check, they're probably bluff river, so... and they do actually use the big size. Mainly, okay. But that's a decent concept as well, just because you have the flush, the missed flush draw, sometimes you are going to bluff. Like if you have like 6 high or something like that, you know. Here we're just going to fold. Here we'll just call again. Hopefully get some check raises in, right? And then I think we bet, actually. Okay, mainly check. Okay, here we go. Right, we actually have a check raise now. Obviously, value hand, but on this board, 7, 8, 8, 9. Even like Queen Jack offsuit, King Jack offsuit, Jack 9. I'm sure there's plenty of check raise candidates. We'll have a look after the hand. And now we can check if we want. I think I will this time. And then just call if they have, again, if they have a hand like 7, 8, completely drawing dead. Unless it's like 7, 8 diamonds, they have the 1 out. And yeah, they seem to like that. So yeah, mainly check raising flop. Mainly checking turn. I think it's just keeping in like all the stuff that's drawing dead. So let's have a look at this board. So this is big blind on the flop. Yeah, 24%. Like that's huge, right? That is 2/3 of the calling range. So I didn't realize this for ages. I was not check raising anywhere near enough. And bear in mind, like most players in most of your games are not going to be check raising enough. But yeah, like King 8, Queen 8, sorry. King 8 as well, to be fair. But Queen 8, backdoor flush draw, pretty much always check raising. Same with Queen 9, King 9. So these are, I won't find enough here. Like I won't be check raising anywhere near enough. Like I'm not check raising ace 7. Well, I might be actually, but like, I'm not doing ace deuce probably. 3s, 2s, check raising. Yeah, like it's. I mean, you don't have to follow the solver exactly. Obviously, no one will. But it's good to look at this just to have an idea of what they're doing. But yeah, like in general, paired boards, the check raise can be very high. That's the main takeaway, I guess. Next hand. I'm gonna. So I use with a randomizer. Big numbers are the more passive action. I'll go for a call. And then just fold. And yeah, mainly calling on flop for this hand. This is one of those spots again, which I think is kind of close. I think with no spade in my hand, I fold. Wrong. Always calling. Okay. Okay, yeah. So one of the... Obviously, it's very low EV, but it's one of those spots where you just gotta... Yeah. So, as we saw before on paired boards, some of these underpairs do check raise. I think I want a spade in my hand, though. So I'm just going to call. I think if I'm ever going to check raise this, I want a spade in my hand. And then just fold. So even 2s with no spade, check raise is 40%. I bet this board has a ton of check raising. 8, 8, 7, 2-tone. So big blind on the flop. Okay, 20%. So not as crazy as some of the other ones we've seen. But I think 10, 10, 6 had like 24%. But yeah, look at these underpairs. Like, are people finding these in your games? Are people check raising 2s with no spade half the time on A87? Like, I really doubt it. So some decent regs will find a decent amount of check raises on these boards, but just be careful because not everyone will. So don't over adjust and think that everyone's got all the bluffs when they check raise you on these boards, because a lot of players won't check raise enough. But if you are not check raising enough yourself, just try and make sure you check raise a bit more. Particularly people at range betting, then you can just often take down the pot very, very often. Let's get for a few more hands. So here we go, Jack 7. Gonna find a check raise here. Gonna overrule this, but I think I'd check raise this a lot anyway. And I think on paired balls, just the small size is fine. Now, flush turn's interesting. I think, in general, we go small or check. This time we'll go small. Yeah. So actually, he likes calling more. That's weird. And then mainly small on turn. So let's just look at the turn quickly. So we've just check raised flop. 5 of spades turn. Yeah, mainly small bet on the flush. Okay. I guess it's betting small because it wants to bet like more than just a flush, right? Like its flushes will bet small as well. Obviously it has a few big bets in there as well. But its flushes will bet small and its trips. And also a bit of like ace-8 and bluffs. So small bets just mean that the solver wants to bet more often with more hands. Let's get back. So I keep forgetting to zoom back in. So here we go. Right, we're just not going to think about this. We're just going to find a check raise here. Decent flush draw, queen high. So, ooh, 3-bet on the flop. So I don't think we're going to see this much from actual villains in real life. Like, if I see this in real life, I might just pitch this. But against GTOWizard, who is mad, we are going to call, I think. We see a very weird turn. Just call. And I think even against Wizard, we probably can find a fold here when the heart gets in. Yeah, okay, they add value this time. But yeah, as you can see, 75% of the time check raising. Let's look at this board as well. So this is big blind versus a small bet. 22%. Let's zoom out. 22%. So yeah, basically the takeaway here, paired board, when you're facing a small bet in the big blind, you want to make sure you check raising. Yeah, let's do a couple more. So just gonna call the ace jack here. Very good turn. Probably can mix in some raises here. I think I'll do that. Something I need to work on is like raise size. So I feel like the solver will prefer this size for some reason. But I think in practice I would probably go... I feel like I'd actually go between these sizes, funnily enough, like 22 or something like that. So let's go for this size. Okay. I actually prefers just calling. Okay. I think we just fold this. Yeah. So we have the backdoor flush draw, but we don't really have anything to go with it. Out of position. Queen 7, second nut flush draw, gonna find a check raise. Actually mainly calling. Let's look at this board. I think maybe the king high boards, they check raise less. Yeah. So this king high board, so this is something that like obviously I kind of knew a bit, but it's good to kind of reinforce. Obviously, King 8-8 is very good for the aggressor because they have all the like King X, the good King X. When we obviously 3-bet some of them, so we won't have it. So only like 12%. So when it's like King 8-8 or Ace 8-8 or something like that, just bear in mind that they're good boards for cutoff. So we're going to check raise less. Let's actually look at Ace 8-8 just to kind of check. Yeah, so even less, 10.5%. So we'll leave it there. But just the main takeaway, guys, is paired board. Make sure you're finding check raises. Yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that one, and see you for some more just normal gameplay footage tomorrow. Okay, cheers.